This is the Orion, and we are here with Mark Plenke, who is a soon-to-be retired professor at Chico State. He was originally the advisor for the Orion before switching over to teaching some other classes, and now he is with us to talk about his retirement. So
it's true.
Yeah, it's true. How long have you been a professor at Chico State?
So technically I'm an instructor. Yeah, there's like ranks at the university. So I'm an instructor, and I started here 7 years ago.
Awesome. And has Chico State changed much since from when you first started working here?
Oh yeah, a lot. I think probably the biggest change is in the student body, right? Mm-hmm. So we became a Hispanic serving institution a couple of years ago. And so when I got here, there were some Hispanic students, and we did attract students from Southern California to come up, and especially to the Orion. But since then, I don't know what changed. I don't know if we're doing a better job of recruiting or what happened, but we have a lot more Hispanic students on campus and in the program and at the Orion.
Cool. What classes have you taught, and what classes do you currently teach?
So I have always taught the mass communication law class. Mm-hmm. I teach editing every semester. I teach public affairs reporting, which is like reporting on government, and then the Orion. And then they're all except the Orion are in a rotation. Mm-hmm. So I teach I used to teach 2 different classes plus the Orion every semester, and now this year I've taught them all.
And which one has been your favorite?
Oh, don't ask me that. What's my favorite class to teach? Probably public affairs reporting, because the students, it feels to me like a capstone class for a journalism student. Mm-hmm. So they learn real skills, and they walk out of that class ready to be a reporter someplace. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, that's what teaching is about, is getting people ready to do their careers. Yeah. So that's probably why.
And at the Orion, what was your favorite part about being the advisor?
Ooh, that's hard too. I think first of all, and I think it's hard for other teachers to relate to this, a newspaper advisor, a student media advisor, has a much closer relationship to their students than you do in other classes, right? I mean, and sometimes you click with a teacher in an English class or a history class, and that's a really good experience. But with the Orion, I worked so closely with the editors, and students really felt free to come to my office to talk. And so I just think there's a different dynamic when you're advising something like the Orion, and it's so fulfilling as a teacher to build those relationships and watch people grow, and then go away and work at ProPublica or Cal Matters or the Wall Street Journal, and I get a call from somebody who said, "Mr. Plenke, could I ask you a question?" And it's like, yeah, you can.
That's awesome. Yeah. And when you first came to Chico State, why did you choose to work at Chico State in particular?
Yeah, well, I don't think people here really have a good understanding of how, I mean, famous is the wrong word, but honored the Orion is. I mean, when I was in Minnesota, and I had heard of the Orion, and so my primary reason for coming to Chico State was to be the advisor for the Orion, because it was because of the reputation of the school and the paper.
Cool. And what are your plans for retirement? What's next?
What's next for Plenke?
I know everyone's asking you.
Yeah, I don't really have a solid plan, right? So we're going to do some traveling this summer. We're going to move to the Bay Area. I guess I'll have to wait until I'm bored enough to want to go back to work. But I was a paper boy, right? I've been working since I was not even a teenager yet. So I think I'll just take some time off and figure out what I want to do.
Awesome. Yeah. And what do you think is the biggest ethical issue that is facing student journalists today?
Ooh, ethical issue? Man. Boy, let me think about that for a second. Yeah. Biggest ethical issue for students. I do have an idea. Mm-hmm. So, we're in a really polarized time, right? And it's really difficult to keep your personal politics out of things. Mm-hmm. And it's so important for journalists to be able to do that, to be able to keep an open mind when somebody has a crazy idea. You have to be open-minded enough to let them have that opinion and listen to it and understand it, and not shade your coverage toward your beliefs. I think it used to be hard, it's really, really hard, right? Yeah, so that's probably it.
Do you have any other advice for student journalists, like for people who might be graduating and going off into the professional world?
Get a job. Let me see. I think the best advice is try to start someplace small so that you can learn everything, right? So when I was first a reporter, I covered county government, a university, farming, right? I did all of those things, and that made my skill set so much broader. So that when I was asked to do something new at my next paper, I'd say, well, I've done that. Well, I've done that. So I think probably that'd be it.
And then last, what are you going to miss the most about being a instructor at Chico State?
Students. I mean, instantly, right? So the scariest part of retirement for me is I'm in this sort of ideal community of smart, vocal, informed people who really, who are really excited about life and have a lot of energy, and that's going to be taken out of my life now, right? I don't get to spend every single day with those people, and I'm going to have to learn how to cope with that.
Well, from everybody at the Orion and Chico State Journalism Department, we wish you farewell and thank you for being part of our college education.
Thanks.
Yay.